Good morning. Welcome here in the sanctuary. Welcome online and YouTube Live to the Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg. That's what the colonizers call this town. We know it as the unceded ancestral lands of the Tocobaga and Seminole indigenous people. Those of us who are pagans celebrate the summer solstice this week, and a lot of us are celebrating it today. Juneteenth is also this week, and the 9th anniversary of the Pulse nightclub shooting was last week. My name is Ben. My pronouns are he and they, and I am excited for this worship service. It's called Free-ish, and we'll get to hear from the bell choir. Michael Rowe is leading our hymns, and then Bianca Hatton will lead our final hymn. Robert Logan is playing our postlude, and today's worship associate is Sandra Moss.
Thanks, Ben. If you want a church where everyone is worthy of love, I have good news. You may have found your church home. And speaking of love, we extend that to include welcoming the unique energy children bring to our services. Please give grace to everyone, young and old, in today's service. Thanks, Sandra. Today is June, the month that is today, is Pride Month. Here at UU St. Pete, LGBTQIA+ people are always welcome, but homophobia and transphobia are not. Also, people who are in the United States without legal status are welcome, but ICE is not. All are welcome, but unkind behavior is not. We have 3 announcements today. As many of you know, UU member Diane Dwyer is moving to Vermont in July. There's a memory book for Diane in Gilmore on the Mingles table. So please take a moment to write your name and a farewell message in this book for Diane. Please feel free to share a favorite memory or anything you would like Diane to hold in her heart as she leaves. We will have a farewell party after the service on June 29th. The book will be in Gilmore after the service each Sunday this month. Thanks, and our wonderful office manager, Cheyenne, will be leaving us in a few weeks, so there's a farewell book for her. It'll be next to Diane's. Feel free to sign both. And finally, the Covenant of UU Pagans will celebrate the summer solstice today from 4 to 6 p.m. right here in Gilmore Hall. All are welcome. And if you could please read the rest of your announcements in the order of service, in our weekly newsletter, and on the TV in Gilmore during coffee hour. Now, I was telling some folks who are new that as Unitarian Universalists, we are a people of diverse beliefs, but we do share a common faith that every being is worthy of love, that what we do in this world matters, and that we are connected. We're connected to one another, and we're connected to the earth. So whoever you are, and wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome here. And allow me to give a special welcome to any newcomers. If you're new to UU St. Pete, or even relatively new, can you give a wave? And if you'd like, could you please briefly introduce yourself? Reverend Ben will bring the microphone to you so those on YouTube can hear what you're saying. Now, you're not under no obligation to say anything, but if you're willing, we'd really love to hear from you. If you could raise your hands again. You did this. I got a maybe hand raise.
Today is my first service here, and I'm curious. I'm a seeker. I'm looking for. My name is Susan, and I'm looking for like-minded. I'm looking for like-minded souls. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Linda. Catholic my whole life, and of course it's been a while now that I've decided I need to find a new home. I'm on a spiritual journey, and so I've been exploring the different options in St. Pete, and I love everything that you guys represent. Happy to be here.
No one else?
All right. Well, thank you for sharing. And thanks for silencing your cell phones. Regarding masks, we encourage you to wear one as you are comfortable. And now is the time for us to turn and greet our neighbors. Say hello to someone new today, and please remember to get consent if you're going to hug or shake hands. And if you prefer not to be touched, you can simply place your hand on your heart so others will know not to hug or shake hands with you.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may.
Please rise as you are willing and able for our opening hymn. It's number 1040 in the teal hymnal, Hush.
Okay, so this one here is going to have some hand motions. So if you feel like singing or doing hand motions, or if you're really syncopated doing both,
Okay.
Robert's going to show us how that works. Hush, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Feels like freedom. Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like justice. Sounds like a justice. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do?
Please remain standing for our chalice lighting.
As we light our chalice, we would like to share a quote from the diary of Anne Frank. "It is utterly impossible for me to build a life on a foundation of chaos, suffering, and death.
I see the world being slowly transformed into a wilderness. I hear the approaching thunder that one day will destroy us too. I feel the suffering of millions.
And yet, when I look up at the sky, I somehow feel that everything will change for the better.
That this cruelty too shall end, that peace and tranquility will return once more." The words of Anne Frank. And when Joanne lights our chalice, I invite you to say our covenant out loud. The words are in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. You may be seated. Michael, can you turn off the handheld mics up there for a second? We're getting a little audio feedback. Thank you.
And we come to the time in our service for joys, sorrows, and concerns. Those of you on YouTube Live are not in this room, but your presence is still felt. Please type your joys and sorrows into the text chat. If you have a joy, sorrow, or concern to submit during the week, please write to Reverend Ben at minister@uustpete.org.
Oh. You know what key it is? Sorry. Right now, Morgan is going to place a stone in the water for each one that was submitted this week. If you have additional cards, like Lauren just did, you can bring it up to us or ask a neighbor to bring it up for you. Now, Deb Pierce and others shared a stone of concern for people in Los Angeles who have been harmed by police last week while protesting peacefully.
And we have a stone of joy from Krisha Logan for the thousands who showed up for the No Kings rally yesterday, all over the United States and here in St. Pete.
A related stone of joy from Lori. Where's Lori? There's Lori. As it turns out, 12.1 million people showed up to protest yesterday. 12.1 million. So those of you who are there, you were part of that. And she says that's 3.5% of the population of the United States. So we now can march on D.C.
And we have a stone of concern for Chris McDonald. She says, "My friend Sue B., who had a stroke and then fell and broke her hip 2 weeks ago. She was operated on and is recovering in New Smyrna Beach."
Okay. Stones of sorrow and concern from Batya Weinbaum for political assassinations in Minnesota, ICE raids, and tanks rolling through D.C. streets.
And this is an anonymous joy, but she states, "So happy Smedley von Aulick had a lovely visit with her sister, and she is always welcome here."
A stone of joy from Ross, our wonderful board president, Trish, who opened her home yesterday for a retreat for next year's board. We were able to gather, Ross says, and love together in good energy, while other energy was happening in D.C. and around the world.
And a stone of joy, we have a new live streamer and tech support staff person, Sophie Powers.
Welcome to the staff team, Sophie. Thank you. Finally, a stone of concern from Lauren Connor. Our friend Azariah Moses is back in the hospital at Bay Pines, where he is released later this week. When he is released later this week, he is hoping to find a new place to live, a studio apartment in or near downtown. If you know of a place, please let Lauren know.
And we will place the final stone for those joys and concerns that remain in our hearts, perhaps too tender to be spoken out loud.
Our responsive reading for this week comes from this, our community covenant. The words can be found in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. Since a healthy and vibrant community depends upon our adherence to
a common congregational covenant, we expect all community participants to commit to the following practices as a part of our great covenant.
To help one another,
I will fulfill my commitments to the church community with kindness. I will honor the time and efforts of those who serve on committees, task forces,
special projects, and the board, as well as our church staff.
I will meet with another community member face to face when issues or misunderstandings arise. I will not opt out of potential resolution. I will seek unbiased assistance when necessary. I will seek opportunities for personal spiritual growth in these interactions.
I recognize that I am an imperfect individual and will sometimes fall short of this covenant. I will commit to try my very best to live its aspirations.
Thank you. May all of us find a comforting and compassionate presence in this warmth of fellowship and community. The mystery is that we are connected even when we feel apart. So let's rejoice in this community that makes of the many one, and let's take a minute of silence together.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
So happy Father's Day to all who celebrate this day. For myself, I haven't seen the man who raised me, my stepfather, in over 30 years. And my daughter's father, Paul, passed almost 3 years ago. But this day does make me reflect on what a father is to me. My father-in-law passed 18 years ago, and sometimes that wound is still tender. Before I met him, I didn't know what it was like to have a loving father. My father-in-law's name was Bill, and I used to call him Mr. Bill, which started out as a joke referring to Mr. Bill on Saturday Night Live. Mr. Bill loved me unconditionally, which was my first experience of that type of love. We adored one another, and Paul used to jokingly say we were sickening together. Whenever I had to take a trip out of town, and Mr. Bill would give me a $100 bill and say, just in case, to make sure I wouldn't be stranded by any mishap. And one time I ran over a kitten with my car and I was distraught. And of course, I turned to Mr. Bill to take care of it and comfort me. Thankfully, Mr. Bill helped the kitten through this really painful time. His voice was deep and gruff, but filled with love and kindness. With Mr. Bill, I felt a sense of safety, security, and trust I had never experienced before. I had always been in fear of my stepfather growing up, and I couldn't comprehend the concept of a loving father. I was raised Catholic, and I had been taught that God was our Father, and for me, that meant fearing him. I had been taught that our earthly father was an example of God, and my stepfather had even stated that he was appointed by God to be my father, and therefore anything he said or did was ordained by God. And it took me years to undo that damage. But with Mr. Bill, I finally understood why some people characterize God as a loving father. Mr. Bill was someone I could trust, rely on, consult, and lean on when I was overwhelmed or lonely or fearful. He was also someone I could share joy and love with. Mr. Bill was beloved by many, and at his funeral, there were so many people in attendance in the large 100-plus-year-old church that couldn't contain them all, and they spilled over onto the porch. Men, women, and children were all crying at that service to honor a man who had meant so much to all who knew him. I thought my tears would never end, but I saw that my tears were actually a testament to the depth of the love I had experienced with this wonderful man. So today, on Father's Day, I recall Mr. Bill with fondness and gratitude, and I hope all of you are able to experience unconditional love from wherever that may come from. Thank you.
Thank you, UU St. Pete Bell Choir. And thank you, Sandra, for those words about Mr. Bill. I hope that all of us have a Mr. Bill in our lives. I hope that, I wish a happy Father's Day to everyone. May we know supportive and loving fathers. May we love and support them, and may we be them. How many of you have been to the St. Petersburg African American History Museum? Yes, some of you I know are very involved, and their director, Terry Lipsy Scott, has spoken right here in our pulpit and is an active friend of the church. I moved here 4 years ago, and I went there right away, and I bought 2 shirts. One of them said Black Lives Matter, and I also bought one for Janae that said Free-ish. And initially they said, well, we can't sell you that shirt. But I told them it was for our amazing Director of Religious Education and Communications, who is black, and then they relented and sold me the shirt. And for those who are wondering why the shirt says Free-ish and why they didn't want to sell it to a white guy, hopefully the answer will become clear in my reflection. But if you want a more thorough answer, you should take, and half of us have taken, the racial justice team's class on unlearning racism that they offer several times a year. Juneteenth is this week. Juneteenth marks the day in 1865, as most of you know, when African Americans in Galveston, Texas were told about the Emancipation Proclamation. It took 2.5 years for the news to travel from Washington, D.C. Once it did, black Texans celebrated with jubilant fervor, and every year since, black people have celebrated Juneteenth. A few years ago, the federal government recognized the holiday as well. Woo indeed. Unfortunately, the end of slavery did not bring about the end of white supremacy. Susan Bernor taught us about peonage a few years ago. How many people were there for Susan? And this was back when we were online. Peonage is the practice of paying off the debt that a person owes in exchange for them working for you. It's also the name for the system of labor by which people convicted of a crime are leased to contractors. So if you could turn down the pulpit right microphone a little bit, maybe that'll help us with this feedback. In the immediate aftermath of the Civil War, white plantation owners found themselves without a captive workforce. So they contacted the white sheriff and asked if they had anyone in their jails whose debt they could pay off in exchange for labor. The sheriffs only had a few people, so the plantation owners next contacted the white legislators, asking them to pass a law that made it illegal for black people to simply stand around. These first loitering laws provided the excuse for white police to arrest black people for this new crime of loitering. And Susan, some of you remember, has spoken with raw honesty about her own white family benefiting from this system of peonage. And most likely it was this discussion that resulted in the removal of our no loitering sign that we had on the church's front gate. Are you getting a little more of the free-ish context? Okay. So slavery in the United States was abolished, but was replaced by peonage, reinforced by lynching, institutionalized by loitering laws, and many, many other Jim Crow laws. Yes, the civil rights movements of the 1960s and of other decades did much to undo institutionalized racism, but white supremacy remains entrenched due to generational wealth, due to the redlining of property in black neighborhoods, due to police brutality, and so many other factors. But maybe the one, at least I'm going to focus on today, is white defensiveness, sometimes called white fragility. It might be one of the biggest roadblocks to ending white supremacy. It may have taken 2.5 years for black Texans to get the news that they were free, but it's taking a whole lot longer for white people to hear the news that we benefit from white privilege and white supremacy. And such white fragility is not new. Immediately following the Civil War, white people wrote letters to the editor claiming whites were now victims of so-called reverse racism. Historian W.E.B. Du Bois calls this the propaganda of history, where many Southern and Northern white people criticized post-Civil War Reconstruction, quote, as a monstrous inversion, saying white supremacy and racial hierarchy were natural and unchangeable. White mobs justified the lynching of black people by imagined or exaggerated crimes against white people. The Ku Klux Klan was founded not as a hate group, but as a group to defend a supposedly threatened white race. To this day, they maintain this fiction of white victimization. And just a few weeks ago, our president, known for deporting immigrants and not letting people immigrate to the United States, changed that policy for who? White South Africans. Because he declared white South Africans to be endangered in their home country, which came as a surprise to most South Africans and even most white South Africans. So yes, it took 2.5 years for word to reach black Texans that they were free. But almost 200 years later, white Americans haven't acknowledged white privilege, haven't understood white supremacy. Most don't have an accurate knowledge of history. Granted, this is partly because the teaching of such history has been criminalized in this state and others. Now, I'm white, and I like to think I got here, on my, through my own individual pull my bootstraps up things. I like to think I hit a home run, but it turns out I was born on third base. And if I admit that, then I also admit that the rules of the game are rigged and that they need to change. So given this history and this present day reality, that black people are free-ish, that many white people remain defensive, what is our role as Unitarian Universalists and right here at UU St. Pete? Well, first, we stay true to our mission, to be an inclusive, evolving, religious community that inspires spiritual and intellectual growth to make our world a better place. We remind ourselves of our cherished values: justice, equity, and transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity, all with love at the center. Our mission and our values will guide us in the days to come. And second, we believe, those of us who are black and BIPOC, remember BIPOC stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color. We believe black and BIPOC people when they tell white UUs, those of us who are white, the truth about their experience as black people, as BIPOC people, their experiences in St. Petersburg, in Florida, in the United States, and yes, even in this church. And rather than getting defensive and fragile, those of us who are white, UUs, must listen to black and BIPOC voices, believe them, and support them. Third, we care for one another. We care for one another, like Mr. Bill cared for Sandra, and so many fathers and father figures care, like Anne Frank cared for the world, keeping hope alive despite looming fascism, like we care for one another here in this congregation, even when we disagree. Our mission is more important than those disagreements. And we use our new community covenant to keep our connections strong. And fourth, we double down on our theology. Now, for those who are new, Unitarian Universalists don't have a creed, so there are Christian UUs, atheist and agnostic UUs, pagan UUs, Muslim UUs, Sikh UUs, Hindu UUs, plenty of folks also who are still figuring out what they believe. But our UU values tell us that we are all interdependent. So I don't protest ICE. I don't protest ICE raids just because it's the right thing to do. I protest ICE as a Unitarian Universalist because I am connected to people without legal documents. So the we in we UUs includes undocumented people, includes trans and non-binary people, includes BIPOC people and disabled people. You notice I said those of us who are black, even though I am not black. Those who have been previously marginalized, we bring into the center. And finally, we do what many of you did yesterday. We take it to the streets. Guided by our values and our mission, we say no, not just to ICE, but all forms of institutionalized racism. We say no, not just to the illegal actions of our current government, but to all efforts to undermine democracy. We say no to the criminalization of history, no to the criminalization of abortion, no to the oppression of Palestinians in Gaza and marginalized people all over the world. But we say yes to love, yes to justice, yes to democracy. Now, this week, many of us are going to Baltimore for our denomination's General Assembly. So I will close with this email that you sent me, Cynthia, from Side with Love. Now, Side with Love is a progressive campaign by our Unitarian Universalist Association. The email said, "We write to you during a week of grief, outrage, and moral clarity. In Los Angeles and Minneapolis, our neighbors are rising up as ICE raids tear families apart and target immigrant communities with cruelty and impunity. A new travel ban has gone into effect, once again targeting Muslims and immigrants from black and brown nations under the guise of national security. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court continues to tilt the scales of justice, expanding privileges for the powerful while narrowing the reach of vital civil protections. In times like these," the email said, "our faith does not retreat, it rises." Unitarian Universalism is not a tradition that turns away from the world's pain. It is a faith rooted in covenant and shaped by generations of activists and prophets, people who believe that revelation is ongoing, that every person carries a spark of the divine, and that giving life the shape of justice is the work of our hands and our hearts. We do not affirm the worth and dignity of every person as a slogan. We live it as a mandate. Our theology insists that love must be embodied in systems, structures, and policies that protect and uplift. In the face of suffering and oppression, our faith responds with courage, not retreat. Amen. Ashe, and blessed be.
We eat fruit from trees planted, long before we were born. May we plant seeds that bear fruit long after we're gone. In the sanctuary, the offering will now be given and received.
That which is given in love is received with great joy. Thank you. Bianca Hatton is going to lead us in our closing hymn, Lift Every Voice and Sing. It's number 253 in the gray hymnal, but she wanted me to give you some history first. The hymn was written as a poem by James Weldon Johnson in 1900 with music composed by his brother, J. Rosamond Johnson. It's often referred to as the Black National Anthem, and you heard our bells performing it earlier. It was first performed by 500 school children. Anybody know where? Jacksonville, Florida. The song became a powerful symbol of the civil rights movement and is still widely recognized today. But my favorite part of this song is its meaning to Bianca personally. By 253, I meant 149. It's number 149.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Bianca. No problem. I am a Texan, so Juneteenth means a lot to me. Thank you. Hey, Texas to the house. So I grew up singing this song all the time. So a lot of you know my unique background and my experience as a kid. I grew up in a predominantly black school, a historically black elementary school. It was across the street from the HBCU in Central Texas called Paul Quinn College, which is where my parents went, and it funneled teachers into this school. So all of my teachers were black. My principal was black. You know, everyone, all the staff was black, not just the lunch ladies and the janitors and a couple of teachers here and there. Everyone was. So I grew up just saturated with black excellence, you know. When we'd sing songs or have a sock hop, it was the Ohio Players, it was the Gap Band, it was just all of this, you know, black power, black love. And so that was my foundation. My teacher from the 1st to the 3rd grade was our school's piano player. She had a piano in her classroom. So every day after the announcements, you know, they would say a quote from a famous black person or figure in history. We would say the Pledge of Allegiance with the what do you call it, the loudspeaker? We'd say the Pledge of Allegiance together. And then we say, my country, 'tis of thee sweet, you know, sing that song. But then she would get down on that piano with Lift Every Voice and Sing, right? So our whole hallway had kids singing this song, and we sang it at every occasion. If there was a school play, if there was, you know, it wasn't just something we sang during Juneteenth, it became who we are. And so during the Major League Baseball games, they have a Swingman Classic. All the HBCUs bring their best players, and they play. This is why I love MLB. And they sing this song after the national anthem. And, you know, yeah, the national anthem's great, yay, but Lift Every Voice and Sing means so much to us. And the way that we all sing, thousands of people sing this song, and we hold the notes, and we pause for emphasis, and we do all of this. This is exactly what my teacher did with me. And so I'm gonna sing it. We're gonna sing it like that. I believe in you. You can do it. Yeah. We're gonna sing it like she did. And every now and then she might yell out, "Sing, babies!" You know, turn around and yell at us, and we sing even harder and swing our heads. But I hope that you feel the passion in this song that I feel. Now, we only sing one verse. We don't go into verse 2 and verse 3, so you better give verse 1 all you got, okay? All right, so here we go.
Please rise for the Black National Anthem.
Yeah, no, you're gonna sing, you're gonna
As
play
you are
it.
willing and able.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea.
All right, baritone, hit it.
Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory.
Repeat it again.
is won.
Let us march on, let us march on.
Let us march on till liberty is won.
One more time.
Let us march on
Sing, babies.
till victory is won.
There you go. Yay.
Woo! Thank you, Bianca. You may be seated.
Thank you. In closing, I want to thank you for the grace you've shown me to allow me the space to be emotional here. I invite all of you to seek out, give, and receive unconditional love in the many ways that it may present itself. Now please remain seated as Robert Logan plays our postlude.
It's going to take Robert a minute to set up, so I hope you all will stay for coffee afterwards in Gilmore Hall, right over there. Next week, worship service will include a live-streamed worship from the UU General Assembly, so look hard and see if you can see some members of UU St. Pete. That begins at 11, so you can just come then, but at 10:30, Allison is going to lead worship service for about a half an hour, so everything is going to be good. So people who don't get the memo and come at 10:30, that'll be great. You can come at 10:30, you can come at 11. Please join me in thanking Bianca again for leading us in that. Thank you so much. Great. And don't forget to join or to sign the books for Diane and for Cheyenne. They're also in Gilmore. Do I have to keep stalling for time? The cups ritual, Covenant of UU Pagans, is right there from 4 to 6 p.m.
4 to 6 p.m.
All are welcome, even the pagan curious.
All right, is that coming through okay? All right. All right, off the cuff, I wanted to mention 3 things, so we'll see if I can get to them all. So the first one is, I went to the protests yesterday. That's my 4th time going to a protest, so like I'm just, no, it's not, I'm just saying, it's a great experience. So if you haven't done it or you aren't going, please go. It's amazing. And I think that it's kind of a muscle that you have to exercise, right? Getting out and exercising our values. So however you're doing it, I think that's one way to do it. Number 2, I knew I was going to forget one. So number 3 is, this song was written by Woody Guthrie, and this song is called All You Fascists. And so this was written in like the 1940s, but it was picked up by the civil rights movement. And so I wanted to pick something that wasn't appropriating, but was for this theme. And so I picked something, I was able to find something, and when he starts the song, he says, let's see what some hillbillies can do about these fascists. So I think I can do this one. All right. So after you've heard the verse once, feel free to join in, and we'll do it a few times at the end. Well, I'm gonna tell you, fascists, you might be surprised. The whole of this world, I'll get in organized. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. All you fascists are bound to lose. All you fascists are bound to lose. All you fascists are bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists are bound to lose. People of every color marching side by side, marching across these fields where 1 million fascists died. You're bound to lose. You fascists are bound to lose. All you fascists are bound to lose. All you fascists are bound to lose. All you fascists are bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You bound to lose. All you fascists are bound to lose. All you fascists are bound to lose. Everybody. All you fascists are bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists are bound to lose. One more time, louder. All you fascists are bound to lose. All you fascists are bound to lose. All you fascists are bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists are bound to lose.
And we invite you to follow along with the hand gestures, light of truth, warmth of heart, and fire of courage, as Joanne extinguishes our chalice. And the words to UUSP's traditional chalice extinguishing are in your order of service and online in the text chat. We
Extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of courage. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world. Our worship is over, but our service begins. We hope this time together will help you through your week and will help you remember you are not alone. Blessings, friends.